This is 6 Minute English from BBC Learning English. I'm Sam.
And I'm Neil. The 20th of July 1969 was a big day in history. Do you know why, Sam?
Was not that when Neil Armstrong first set foot on the moon?
Right, but it's often forgotten that some of the most dramatic photographs taken on the Apollo space missions were not on the moon at all. They were of Earth. It wasn't until we went to moon that we really saw the size of Earth's oceans and named ourselves the Blue Planet.
Despite most of our planets being covered by water, the ocean remains of pace of unexplored mysteries of sea monsters like body duck on currents. In this program, we will be diving into the deep seas, seeing some of its strengths, and as usual, learning some related vocabulary too.
But before that, I have a question for you, Sam. You were right when you said that most of the Earth is covered by water, but do you know exactly how much of the Earth's surface on is ocean? Is it A, 50%, B, 60%, or C, 17%?
It's called the blue penis, so I will say C, 17%.
Okay, I'll review the answer later in this program. The first thing to say about the deep ocean is that the rules of life down there are very different from the rules on land. Sunlight cannot reach the very bottom of the ocean, a place between 2 and 3 kilometers down known as the deep abyss, so it's totally dark and extremely cold. And the weight of water creates massive amounts of pressure.
This extreme environment is strangely that friction and homes to things which seem to be from another planet's things like carbon winds, volcanoes, hot springs which break through the ocean floor. Oceanography, Alex Rogers joined an expeditions which discovered hardened vermis winds in the ocean near Antarctica. He told his story to BBC Web Service program Discovered. Well, the first problem is actually finding them because they cover a very small area and it's naturally like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But when you do come across them, I mean the deep ocean is food limited, so so life is spreading on the ground, and they suddenly your camp just stumble into this area where there is just abundant life all over the sunflower and around these winds.
Alex says that finding these small thermal winds at the bottom of the ocean is like finding a needle in a haystack, an idiom meaning almost impossible to find because the area you have to search is so large.
Because there's no sunlight on the ocean forest, it's hard for things or creatures to survive. So forms of life are hints of on the ground. There's only a fifth of them. Alice cannot find anything to film with his camera until suddenly he realized the winds and see things and animals everywhere. Here there is more than enough or abundant life.
To picture a hydrothermal vent, imagine an underwater volcano. Boiling clouds of what looks like smoke hits the seawater to a temperature of 386 degrees Celsius. This creates a warm environment of all kinds of weird and wonderful creatures, including fans, mussel, tube worms, and bright yeti crabs, so called because of their hairy claws, some of which get cooked because the water is so hot.
What's amazing is that while these flames may be so old as Earth itself, they were only discovered in the 1970s. So, there's more mysteries hidden in the deep ocean. That's the question BBC web service discovered as the Marines biologist Carrie Horan. Here's what she said.
I have absolutely no doubt that there is plenty more to discover down there. It's really vast, and I mean it's quite hard to get your head around how vast the deep sea is, and it is most of our planet. So, and we've barely scratched the surface of exploration of this unique environment. And if you think that fans were only discovered in the 70s, there's great potential for a lot else to come. I think we've only been exploring this environment for the last 150 years. I mean, before that, we didn't think there was any life down there at all. So it's a very young science. It's deep sea biology, and so there's a lot more to discover. I have no doubt. In terms of ocean exploration, Kerry thinks we've only scratched the surface, found out a little bit about something, but not enough to fully understand it.
That's because the ocean is vast, extremely big, so vast in fact that it's hard to get your hand around it, or difficult to really understand.
But how was exactly, Sam? In my question, I asked how much of the Earth's surface is covered by water,
And I said it was C, 17%.
which was the correct answer. Well, 71% to be precise, but either way is hard to get your head around or difficult to fully understand.
Okay, we would better recap the other vocabulary too. Started with the idiom, find a needle in a haystack, meaning that something is almost impossible to find because you have to search so wide, wide, widely for it.
If something is thin or on the ground, there's very little of it, but if it's abundant, there's plenty or more than enough.
When you only scratch the surface, you find out a little about something, but not enough to fully understand it.
And finally, what is another way to saying extremely large, huge, or enormous?
Unlike the vast oceans, our time is limited to just 6 minutes and it's up. So join us again soon for more amazing adventures and of course useful vocabulary. Here's our 6 minute English. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.